Hello. The topic for my inquiry project presentation is the role of executive functioning deficits on ADHD and how that impacts academic achievement in youth. My interest for this topic would be as an employee for the Learning Disabilities Association of Toronto for the last 4 years. I have worked with a lot of individuals from several different age ranges with learning disabilities and ADHD. I try my best to support them by helping them maximize their success, both academically and with their careers. I never really had the opportunity to explore how EF impacts academic success for youth with ADHD, and I thought I could use this platform to do so. The research question I have developed is how does EF deficits impact academic achievement for students with ADHD? And my hypothesis is executive function deficits in students with ADHD will lead to lower academic achievement than their peers without ADHD. So, looking into the relationship between ADHD and academic success, children and adolescents with ADHD experience significant academic impairment. Youth with ADHD have lower school grades and standardized achievement scores in comparison to their peers and are significantly more likely to be retained a grade and to drop out of school. Initially, it was assumed that youth with ADHD struggled academically due to problems with focus and distractibility. Indeed, there actually have been a lot of studies that documented a significant negative relationship between symptoms of inattention and academic outcomes. Recently, it has become apparent that the pathway between ADHD symptoms and academic functioning is indirect, and that other mechanisms are more directly responsible for the development of academic impairment in youth with ADHD. Now, closely looking into executive functions in ADHD, EF has received considerable research attention and have been hypothesized to underlie the functional impairments of youth with ADHD. As we know, EFs are high order cognitive processes that are responsible for self regulation, decision making, and goal directed behaviors. EF entails the ability to engage in sequences of planned, goal directed behaviors over prolonged periods of time by resisting distractions and inhibiting inappropriate responses. A large number of studies have documented that many youth with ADHD experience deficits in aspects of EF, such as working memory, response inhibition, planning and organization, and sustained attention, all of which are very crucial for academic success. Now, tying it all together with EF, ADHD, and academics, there has been growing empirical evidence suggesting that EF deficits play an important role in predicting the academic impairments of youth with ADHD. In one study with Bierman and colleagues in 2004, they cross-sectionally demonstrated that children with ADHD and EF deficits had significantly lower academic achievement and were more likely to repeat a grade in comparison to children with ADHD alone. There has been a significant relationship between EF and academics that has also been found longitudinally in a sample of girls with ADHD who were followed from mid childhood through late adolescent and young adulthood. In the first paper, Miller and Hinshaw in 2010 reported that childhood EF predicted academic achievement and global functioning independent of intelligence at a 5-year follow up. Then again, Miller, Novato, Monarenjo, and Hinshaw in 2012 reported at a 10-year follow up with the same sample, childhood EF, and particularly measures of global EF and working memory predicted academic functioning defined as performance under standardized achievement tests. Lastly, Thorell in 2007 found that EF deficits served as a mediator between symptoms of inattention and mathematics and language skills measured with the standardized achievement test battery. Now, there are limitations to the past research. So, the two primary limitations are the first one being has to do with the reliance on structured neuropsychological tests as measure of EF. The second limitation relates to the fact that most studies have defined academic functioning as performance on standardized achievement tests alone. First, the studies that I mentioned all above in this presentation utilize neuropsychological tests to assess EF, and most utilized an EF composite variable, which combine multiple different tasks together to form an overarching EF construct. Although this is a worthwhile line of inquiry, as we know, laboratory based tests have been criticized for having poor ecological validity, and ratings in EF have actually been better as showing and being better predictors of real life impairment in comparison to EF tests in samples of adults with ADHD. In fact, a recent review of this issue found that correlation between neuropsychological measures of EF and ratings of EF were small to negligible. One reason for this is that short term, in the moment, neuropsychological EF tests are often highly structured and may not sufficiently measure youth's ability to organize behaviors and to plan a path to achieve long term goals in real world settings. Broadly speaking, standardized achievement tests are examinations of academic knowledge alone, whereas school grades are a combination of students' academic knowledge, performance, classroom participation, effort, behavior, attendance, and homework performance. So it would be better in the long run for research to be focused more on school grades as a measure rather than just having participants complete a standardized test. Looking into next steps, just from this presentation itself and from the research that I've highlighted, numerous research studies conclude that EF contribute to the academic success of youth with ADHD. In particular, EF skills such as organization and planning are very relevant for youth with ADHD. For youth with ADHD, educators should implement instructional strategies and interventions that target goal setting, organizing material, planning next steps, and time management in order to help students become academically successful. Thank you for listening to my presentation. I hope that it was informational.